Hey everyone, Angelo here. Welcome to another design tutorial. Today I want to show you how to create an e-Catalogue in Adobe InDesign. In this lesson, I'm going to go over how to create buttons that have rollover and animation effects applied. I'm also going to show you how to export an ePub fixed layout for both desktop and mobile platforms. So let's get started. Okay, so I have a document here that contains 6 pages. It's an e-Catalogue that I was working on previously. If I click on pages 2 and 3, the pages we're primarily going to be working on in this tutorial, you could see that I have the buttons and the animations set up, as well as the rollover effect. So we'll get into that. I did create a new document here that has 6 pages. So I'd rather start from scratch rather than start tearing things apart and showing you that way, because I'm also going to design the e-Catalogue, the first 3 pages anyways, and then we'll go ahead and we're going to publish it as an ePub, and I'm going to show you how that looks for desktop, and I'm going to show you how the rollover effect translates to mobile as well, which is going to be helpful for you. So let's go ahead and grab our rectangle frame tool. And on page 1, let's just go ahead and grab the rectangle frame tool and draw out a frame that covers the entire page. I'm going to go to my CC libraries here, and I have a color that I've saved. I'm just going to create that color for that box. And I'm going to give the tint 20% tint, so it's going to be very subtle. And then I'm going to grab the rectangle frame tool again and draw out another frame. And I'm going to drag in my main cover. So you can drag in photos, or you can go to File and Place. Whatever works better. I mean, they both work, so whatever you prefer, I should say. And I'm just gonna maybe make that a little bit bigger and then move it up. Something like that. I'm gonna grab my type tool. I'm gonna go to my top left-hand margin and draw out another text frame. And I'm going to type in the name of this e-Catalogue. It's called Norwich, the company. And then I'm going to go to my properties. I did preset some paragraph styles here, which is always helpful. And this one is the masthead. So I'm going to click that. So that's simple. And then I'm just going to maybe Alt and drag another copy. And in this case, I'm just going to say Spring Catalog 2020-21. Command A to select all of it. I know it's large, but I'm going to strip the formatting by going to Basic Paragraph. And then I'm just going to click that again. And this is the masthead tagline. And then you can go in and start adjusting things as you go. I don't have rows set up on here. I figured that the columns is good enough for this, but you can go ahead and create rows for this as well. So I made that fit. Maybe bring it down just a tad, just to give it a little bit more air. Now this is pretty minimal. Oftentimes catalogs have some other information down here. Maybe use some negative space to point to products inside, things of that nature, but I'm keeping it pretty simple for this. So that's your cover page. Now we can move on to page 2. Now for this, I want to, I'm gonna create 3 rectangle frames. I'm gonna make them the same size. I can adjust them after I've imported the images. But basically, I'm just gonna grab my 3 PSD files here, and I'm gonna drag them into, I'm going to drag them right onto my document, not in the box, not in the frames yet, because I want to rank them in order of how I want to drop them in there. You can see on my cursor here, I have 3 loaded, and I can actually toggle between which ones. So I want this one to be first. Actually, how did I have it set up on this page? Okay, perfect. I want the vase to come first. Drop it in. I want the bowls next. Drop that in. And I want this one as the last one. Drop that in. So that's an easy way of bringing in multiple images at once rather than individually, have them preloaded in your cursor and then just drop them in. Pretty simple. I'm just centering these to the column. I'm going to go ahead and grab my type tool, and above I'm just going to do another text frame, and I'm going to call this handmade pottery. I'm going to select all of it, go back to my properties, click my paragraph styles, and this is called section title. By the way, for these for this catalog, I'm using a combination of Futura and Babas New, which is a cool font that's all capitals, so uppercase. All right, let's go ahead now and bring in the name of each product. Just gonna go, and I'm gonna be reverting back to my other document just as reference point. So Tuscan, Cabana, and Howard and Company. Tuscan. And again, you could just make all of this up. I'm gonna do a return there and just say $55. I'm gonna select Tuscan, go to my paragraph styles and select product header, select the price and select price. Now actually I could just go ahead and delete these, and I can create new copies of these ones. And this is where we're going to put in our information. So I have that as well. By the way, I'm going to add all the assets and content to this tutorial. So if you want to practice with all the content in this tutorial, you'll be able to do so. I'll drop the link in the YouTube description. So I'm going to copy that. Again, I'm going to revert to my paragraph styles, and I called this one product body text. I'm just going to go ahead and create new copies of that. And then it's very easy to go in and drop in the new text. And of course, I've sized this out previously. So that's good. Now we have our product, our three products, our product names, and our product information. Now I'm going to bring in this image as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you can drag out a frame previously and then drag in the image you want, which that's what I'll do in this case as well. So I've dropped that image in. And then I'm just going to copy one of these and drag it down below. So the idea is when you're creating a catalog, to find good space on an image, negative space for your information. It's okay if you cover the product a bit. So if I wanted to, you could maybe put it like that, but you could see the Tuscan is being interfered with. So just an easy way is find a nice clean area and try to use your guides as reference points to snap. So that ended up working out well right there as well. And so this one, I'm gonna go back. This is Stark and Main. And the price is $60. They're some pretty expensive bowls, but again, this is all fictional. There you go. I'm going to replace that. Good. So we have our products. We have our product information set up. Let's move on to page 3. Oops. Actually, one other thing I'd like to show you before I move on to page 3 is I want to add a logo to these pages without having to do them individually. If I click on my pages section here and make my way up to a master, I am now in the master pages. So anything I apply to these two pages will show up, will take effect to all the other pages in my document. So that's very helpful for dates, numbering, logos, page numbers, things of that nature. I'm not doing page numbers for this, but I do want to throw a logo on these. So I'm going to go ahead and I have one here, Norwich logo. And I'm just going to drag out maybe something like this. And I'm going to put it above the margin. and then grab another copy here. And while you're dragging it over, hold your shift key and it keeps it in place. You can see I'm moving up and down, but it's always snapping to that level. Hold your shift key down, drag it to the next area, and when you see that magenta line showing you that it's centered, go ahead and let go. So now they're both centered to those pages. Now if I go back to my pages here, you can see they're on every page. All right, let's go to page 3 now. And for this, again, I'm just gonna create another rectangle frame that covers not the entire page, but just the size of the inner margin. Let's go back to our images here. And I'm gonna go ahead and drag in this image. Perfect, now I can go in and again, just copy one of these. And maybe, let's say you wanted to highlight both these pieces in this image. Try to associate an area. So something like that. I'm gonna take my guides off and see how that looks. I'm also going to maybe bring this down a bit, just to give me a little bit more space up top. See how I have more wall? That's exactly what I want, because I have more real estate to move this around now. Something like this is okay. Maybe up. And this here. I got some space there. Perfect. So let's focus in now on how to create the buttons, the rollover buttons, and add animation. And then I'm going to show you how to export it for ePub, and we'll look at it on desktop, and we'll look at it on mobile. Okay, we're going to start on page 2 with these products and product information up top, and then work our way down and then go on to the next page while adding animation and rollover effects to these buttons. So before we get started, I want to go up to Window, Interactive, Buttons and Forms. I already have mine open. I'm just going to pull it to the side. Window, Interactive, Animation. Pull that over to the side. I'm actually going to combine the two panels together. And then finally, Window, Interactive, and Timing. And let's go ahead and drag that so all three are together. I can have this on the side while I'm working, which is very efficient rather than opening and closing each panel as you go. So I'm going to click on this first product here and go to my Buttons and Forms panel. And I want to turn that into a button. This is going to be called Product 1. Let's go ahead and do the same thing to the next image. This will be called it'll be called Product 2. And the last one, turn that into a button. And this will be called Product 3. We'll go back to that in just a sec. I want to focus on these. I'm just going to move that up a bit. These descriptions down here, the product info, we're going to turn those into buttons as well. So I'm going to click on the first one, go to type, and we want button. This will be called Product Info 1. And we want to hide that until it's triggered. So go ahead and click that. Click on the second one, turn that into a button, and let's go Product Info 2. Hide that until it's triggered, and then let's go to the last one and turn that into a button as well, Info 3, and hide that until it's triggered. Let's go ahead and go back to our first image, our first product of the vase, and the event. Instead of having this on a rollover for that to appear, I do want to leave it on a release or tap, but we could still have a rollover type effect applied when we click it. Reason being is rollover won't work on mobile, so it's got to be mobile friendly as well if someone on a mobile platform is reading this. So let's go ahead and leave it on release or tap, and the action will be show hide buttons and forms. And in this case, I don't want to have anything happen with the products themselves, these three images, but but I do want to have some edits to the product information. But product info 1, I want to have that show. Product info 2 will be hidden. So will product info 3. Let's go to the second image. The action will be show hide buttons and forms. Let's hide product info 1. Let's show product info 2. And let's hide product info 3. Let's go to the third image. Show hide buttons and forms. Hide product info 1. Hide product info 2. Show product info 3. Now let's just take a look at how that works based on the settings we've just applied. So I'm going to click that first one, click the second one, click the third one. So that's not bad, but it's better if you have some kind of effect applied, like a rollover, to show that they're actually buttons and contain more information. So that's the first step. That looks good. Let's go to back to the first image, and down below here where it says appearance, right now we just have a normal state, a normal appearance applied upon click, but I'm gonna add a rollover click here. And let's go ahead and with the rollover click applied, actually let's click on normal and drive into it. So click on this normal appearance and then double click until you drive into the selection. You can see it was a dashed line before, and if I double click, now it becomes a solid line. I drove into that selection with the normal appearance applied or selected, and I'm going to change the appearance opacity to 50%. And you can see, much like object states works, I have two kind of appearance states here where it'll go from 50% opacity to rollover of 100%. So let's go ahead and do that to these ones as well. I've got the bowls selected. I'm going to select rollover. So now you can see both of these have eyeballs turned on. I'm going to go back to normal, double click to drive into that selection and make that 50%. You can see now there's two states here. Perfect. Let's do the last one. Let's click rollover. Click normal, double click to drive into the selection and make that 50%. Let's have a look now as opposed to before. So you can see when I roll over them, that works, and then I can click them as well. I'm going to add one more appearance state to this, and that will be a click. With the click, this is where it'll work better on mobile, so you can click on it and it'll still it'll toggle between the two appearance states. So with click applied, I'm going to double click to drive into that selection, and I'm going to make it back to 100%. Let's double click this one here. Actually, let's click that one first. Select click, double click, and then 100%. And now let's do it to the last one here and change that to 100%. How's that look now? I don't think much will change on the desktop side of things. It's just an added touch for mobile, which you'll see in just a few moments. Perfect. So we've set up our hover states or appearances. You can see the rollover effect, but you'll still have to click to have the information appear. So that's a really cool feature in itself. Let's move on down below here. And what I'm going to do in this case, and I'm actually going to group all of this together. So what I want to do is click on the name, hold my shift key, and click on the description, the product info, and just do Command G. And let's go to animation, and you can see right now it's called group. Let's change that name. Well, let's call it Stark and Main Animation. And let's go ahead and choose the type of animation we want. So you can select any of these that you like. In this case, I do like the zoom in 2D. Right now it's going to appear on page load, but we're going to change that in a second, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a click on this image to have that appear. And let's go ahead and click on the image once with our selection tool. Now we're going to go back to buttons and forms here and change that into a button. On release and tap is fine, but we do have to change the name. Let's call this product 4, just so we remain consistent with the product names. I don't want to stray away from that. So if you have a good system when you're renaming buttons, try to stick to that as best you can. Okay, the action on here is going to be animation. So when I click that, the animation will appear. I'm gonna sync them together in just in a second here. So I'm gonna click that first. So you can see automatically I only have one animation applied, and it's showing up here. Animation, start and main animation. There it is. And you have options. In this case, I do want it to play. And let's go ahead and add a rollover on this as well. I'm going to click that first version, double click, change it to 50%. Actually, that's a little light. Let's go 80 maybe, or let's go 70. See how that looks. I like that better. Okay, that's good. So we got our rollover state, and then our normal state, and then rollover state. Let's do the click and double click that. Let's make that 100%. So one other thing I have to do beforehand, and I'll show you in a second. Let's go ahead and play this, and I'll show you the change we have to make. So right now, you can see it does appear on page load what I didn't want, okay? So if I hit play again, you can see that it appears on page load. I do have my hover state, and it'll still work, which is great, but I still don't want that to pop up when the page loads. So I'm gonna go ahead and click it once with my selection tool, go back to animations, or animation, and right here where it says events, right now it's playing on 2 events. It's playing on page load and the button event, which is the click of this. Let's just uncheck on page load. So the only user experience that's going to happen here is clicking that image and that appearing. Okay, so let's see how that looks. So our top 3 are working fine, and then there's that version there. So I just added a button to the last product image, and I want to apply 2 animations with 1 click. So to do that, as you could see from my previous grouped animation, go ahead and group these 2. They're 2 separate animations. I've set the 2D zoom to both. I'm on the image now, and I've already renamed the button to product 5. I've set the action to animation Jacob Decor, but I want them both to play at the same time when I click this. So I've added 1. If you want to add a second, just add another action to it. And in this case, I want Stark and Main 2. So I had Stark and Main here. So this is Stark and Main 2. Perfect. I'm going to click this, and I'm going to add a rollover effect. Click on normal, double click, and let's make that 70%. So we got the 2 appearance states, and let's add a click appearance, double click in there, and finally let's make that 100%. And what I need to do now is I'm gonna go to my timing. I'm gonna go to the timing panel. We opened this panel up at the beginning of the tutorial. You can see here I have Jacob Decor and Stark Main 2 on this page. They're showing up in my timing panel as well. And I'm gonna click that, hold my option key down, click the second, and have them play together. Perfect, let's play it now. It's not showing up. I'm going to click and you can see they play together. This one comes in. These ones are working fine. So now we're going to export this as a ePub fixed layout, and let's see how it looks on desktop, and then let's open it on mobile and test it out there as well. Okay, so it's time now to export this out as an ePub fixed layout document. I'm going to go up to File, Export. I've already exported mine, but I'm going to take you through the process. So once you've done that, it's probably going to default to Adobe PDF, print, or interactive, or whatever setting you may have had last. Just click on ePub fixed layout and not reflowable. So click ePub fixed layout. That will hold all your fonts and your images as you have them laid out. So I'm going to hit save. It's going to say replace. Go ahead, keep going. I'm not going to hit OK because, like I said, I've already created mine. In the general tab, you can export all pages or range. You can go through the other settings as you wish. The metadata, you can populate these fields if you want your book or your e-Catalogue or magazine or whatever you're designing. This just gives it a little more information so people can find it once it's published. And then the viewing apps, I'm exporting mine out and it will open with books, but you can add a reader or remove one. So Adobe Digital Editions is good, or your favorite reader, find one that you like, and then you can add that application as well. I'm just gonna hit cancel, and I'm gonna show you how the one looks on desktop here. Let's go to page 1 here. So that's the cover, and you could just toggle through these slide. I've exported mine as a spread, but you could see these top ones, the rollover effects work on my top products here. That works just fine. I'm gonna go down below. You can see the rollover effect without me clicking still works fine. Now I can click and there's that product info with the product name. And this last one, you could see also the rollover is working. I'm gonna click that and you could see using the timing panel, having these come in together is a nice way of presenting that rather than one popping up and then waiting for that one to finish and then this one coming in. It just comes in together, which is a lot better, and it just looks a little cleaner as well. So now I'm going to show you how it looks on mobile platform. I've downloaded the e-Catalogue on my phone. Let's see how it looks on mobile platform. I'm going to click on it, open it up. The cool feature about this is when I flip through, it gives you that page turner effect, which is kind of cool, and probably a lot of e-readers do that. Many desktop ones don't, so I'm just going to flip over, and I'm going to click on the first Tuscan. You can see I'm holding it down, and then when I let go, the first product info appears. I'm going to click on the second one. I'm holding it. The cool thing about this is when you see, that's how the rollover effect appears on mobile. So I'm going to go back to the first, second, and then third. Let's go ahead and click on the image down below. It has the first product info appear, which is kind of cool. Let's turn over to the last page and do the same thing. And there you go. The other two appear. And again, I didn't animate these last two, but you can see you can keep going through until you get to the last page. So that's how it looks on mobile platform. So try it out. So that's how you create an e-Catalogue in Adobe InDesign. If you enjoyed this tutorial, if you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more tutorials to come. If you'd like to learn more about interactive design using Adobe InDesign, go ahead and click the playlist above.